back in Houston, Texas, at the YMCA. My name is Dave Vincent, alongside John Bite for this Emmett Peixoto, Dave Chapman match. Now, we had this Twitter vote, and it was apparent that Marcos and Nadi were definitely winning that Twitter vote.
Which one is the game ball?
But the tournament organizers here put Dave Chapman and Emmett Peixoto on, so they went against our Twitter feed.
Emmett.
Now, I thought, and I'm sure you probably think this too, well, you're the guy running the show. Well, I found out earlier that I really don't run the show around here.
Now, I'm in a spot here because I know for a fact that's not true, but I also know for a fact that you are always right. So I don't know where to go with this one.
You don't know what to think anymore. You just agree and nod your head.
I am curious about this mysterious tournament committee. Did they import them from Orange County, or where is this committee? Actually, you can't go wrong with either one of these two matches. I mean, I'm always excited to see what David Chapman's going to bring to the table.
We're just going to play with it on, okay?
Already an argument.
I can't hear it. We have to start, okay?
You got to mic up, David. That's half the entertainment value.
Emmett, is that the game ball?
I'm just sorry.
21-year-old referee taking no guff.
Here. I know. I'm trying to identify what the argument is.
He hears some.
Okay, Emmett to serve.
The referee wants him to take it off?
Right off the bat.
Okay, so Dave Chapman is telling the referee that he wants Emmett to take
1 game to 25.
His necklace off. That's interesting.
15. 0-0. Short ball.
Is that Dave Chapman just trying to get into Emmett's head?
It has to be. It has to be. He said before we were filled in, all I heard is that he could hear something. And how do you hear a guy's necklace? It's not like one of those big wrapper chains.
Point.
Oop, that's not going to be good. Referee says point.
We'll replay.
And Emmett gives it to him.
Class move there.
0-0.
Good, very good friends. Originally a coach and protege, and now closer to being peers.
Hold it.
Emmett did not want that.
Had a call.
Do you think David will reverse that call?
Yeah, should be arguing the reverse of that.
Replay, 0-0.
Wow, that's an amazing shot there. Dave Chapman hits it right down the middle. It's a 1-game match to 25. Win by 2. Dave Chapman and Emmett, 0-0. Dave is now playing his 3rd match of the tournament. Emmett, this is his first one, and that's that part where the players are not too happy to have to go through that 3-match
side out
run that they have to do here.
0-0.
That to me is yet another benefit of this 25-point game format. I mean, there are numerous benefits. You know, you're not just totally gassed. If you think of 3rd match in the traditional format, that would be a tall order. But
right,
you can get through these 25s.
I
still have something to spare.
I believe a guy like Emmett could be a little, out of the groove. And Dave has been on this court now. This is his 3rd time. I think he has the advantage because he's in the system and he kind of feels it and he knows, remembers what the game feels like. Emmett's coming off of a flight, not comfortable yet. So I think early on, definitely, while he's trying to acclimate himself, Dave might have that advantage.
Yeah, I agree with that. Before I turn the mic over to David Fink, congratulate him on his very impressive performance. The other thing I really like about this format for entertainment purposes, and you saw the flip side of it, every 60 minutes you're getting something new cycled in, and that's unfortunately what we were not able to do in Orange County. The old format, you're
0-0.
got an hour and a half, 2-hour match going on, and it's actually ended up affecting these guys. They played a phenomenal match on a backcourt. You can only put 1 match in the big court at a time, and when they get to 2 hours each, it's hurts the entertainment value.
Well, that was something we purposely tried to create, was a match that was around 40 to 50 minutes, 40 to 55 minutes long, where a spectator wouldn't have to sit through multiple 2-hour matches or an hour and a half. Just to have more of an experience that you would have if you were going to go watch a movie, let's say.
1 serving 0.
But what we find out with our viewers and the fans that love handball, they come down to watch a whole quarterfinal bracket. So they're here, all day long. And that could be, if you're on one court, that could be literally 16, 15, 10, 12 hours worth of handball in a row. But we've simplified it down to about 8 hours. And we do that consciously, just not to burn out everybody, the players, the staff. So I appreciate the fact that you brought that up. And now we're going to say goodbye.
Side outs, this could be a 2-hour, 25-point game match.
A typical Dave Chapman match is a little bit longer than those that are not
serving 1.
Dave Chapman matches. So we're going to say goodbye to you. We'll have Dave Fink step in. So, John, thanks for doing what you've done.
All right, as always, it's been a blast.
We'll catch you a little later. Now we're going to usher in the guy who got fined $50 for not coming by for his post-game interview after that win against Martin Mulkerns. That is going to go into the Tahiti Fund, by the way. David Fink, welcome to the studio.
0.
Thanks, Dave. Always difficult to replace a legend, John Bike, sitting in, but do the best that I can. Very interesting match here, Dave. You know that these guys are good buddies, but also very competitive. It's kind of a strange psychological matchup, Dave, because Emmett has looked up to Dave Chapman his whole handball life. Dave Chapman has kind of looked down a little bit on Emmett,
0 serving 1,
thinking that, there's no way he can lose to him. So it really creates an interesting dynamic, Dave. And normally you would say you wouldn't give Chapman much of a chance before you saw him play against Martin Mulkerns earlier today. But then what can you say when people ask you, how did Chapman look? He looked how Chapman looks, which was, you and I watched it from up above, Dave, and it was just spectacular handball.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's going to change here in this match, as I believe Emmett is
1 serving 0.
probably as focused as he's been in a long time.
Well, Dave, I had a chance to chat with Emmett as he was warming up for this match, and that was a lucky shot. Emmett's jumping rope, doing karaoke steps, side steps. He had a full sweat.
2 serving 0.
He said, I don't think anybody in the world is playing more handball than me right now. Luis Moreno came and stayed with me last weekend. We played for 3 hours, 2-on-1 with another guy in San Jose. Then we played an exhibition match the next day. We hiked up a mountain the following day. So he's very serious, Dave. I think he's been reading what's been writing. He follows the standings very closely and knows that he needs a big result here after not playing in Orange County. And Dave, that decision, although lucrative at the time, picking up a couple $1,000s playing doubles there, could cost him big come April when he may not be eligible for that $20,000 Players Championship. Now, Dave, we've talked about guys who haven't even started yet that could potentially qualify for the Players Championship. Paul Brady, Robbie McCarthy. Now you throw Dave Chapman's name in that mix. He looks like he did this morning. You could easily see him making a couple of semifinals or finals and sneaking in the back door of the Players Championship. He's calculating his points also, Dave. He came to me and said, what do I need to do to play in Salt Lake City? So this is a guy that's thinking about it. Now, we've got 2 guys mathematically that are already qualified for Salt Lake City, Alan Garner and Luis Moreno. The other 6 spots are up for grabs. There's about 11 guys, maybe 12 if you throw Chapman's name in that mix, that could be a part of that 8-man tournament.
Okay.
And remember, Dave, of those 12, only 6 go.
0 serving 2.
So it's going to be tight for this Players Championship to find out who's going to be in, and there's a lot of players trying to gun for it. And then the unfortunate thing happened earlier as we watch this rally develop. Armando Ortiz and his flight being canceled really threw a wrench into that because he was positioning himself to be one of those 8 invites.
No, I as a player and an administrator, I just felt terribly getting that phone call. Armando's such a great kid and a great player, and he's making, his 3.0 version comeback. And that's a rare lack of control there from Dave.
Hold it, hold it, hold it. Replay.
I think Emmett was kind of disrupted 2 shots earlier.
Now, Dave, we seem to say this every time we see Emmett, but his right hand just looks like it's all the way back now.
No lines, judges.
Maybe his right hand was at 80% at the U.S. Open. Here we are 3 months later. His right hand looks like the Emmett Peixoto of 2008 right now. Very smooth swing.
Is there anyone downstairs who
Dave,
wants
it's
the line
interesting
judge?
because as I was setting this match up outside, Dave Chapman was complaining that Emmett needs to take off his necklace.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
What is that about? Is that a mind game with Dave?
Well, I believe it's a mind game, but Emmett is wearing the gold chain that he's worn for many years, and he's added a coin to it, which is of sentimental value from his wife. They were just married in December. So he's added that coin to it, so now it's apparently rattling around.
Well, he hears it in the shot, and he doesn't. He's taking the shot, and he hears it rattling. I heard him say that it's distracting.
Now, Dave,
I believe it should be off. Now,
I told them that if the referee hears it and he believes it's distracting, then he should take it off.
all right.
That was my decision. I know, Dave, you being a baseball guy, these pitchers can't come out there wearing a bunch of bling because the batters can't focus on the ball. Maybe something similar here. I believe it's more of a mind game, but then again, maybe it is bothering Chapman. The guy is...
Okay. 1 second.
He's got about 8 senses. He's got eyes on the back of his head, maybe ears.
2 serving 0.
yeah, I'm a little
I think
surprised.
he heard a horn honking, Dave, outside, and we're about 5 stories up here.
Well, I can tell you this. This Dave Chapman playing in this tournament is completely different than the Dave Chapman we saw in Idaho.
Well, I think it's great to see. I think it's great to have Dave Chapman in the mix. It's great for young guys like Kyle Greenlaw, who's playing in his first qualifier, to have a chance to play against Dave. And also an up-and-coming guy like Martin Mulkerns, who's going to say in 5 years when he's ranked number 1 or 2, hey, I played Dave Chapman. I lost, but just like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, Chapman's one of those guys, Dave, where Emmett's done a lot of training for this, playing Luis Moreno, and Luis Moreno plays the best of anybody who's playing the modern game outside of maybe Paul Brady. But you just can't prepare for Chapman. It's almost like it doesn't matter if you play every day or haven't played in 6 months. What he brings to the table is so different that you feel like it's impossible to mentally and physically prepare for what he's going to do to you. He forces you to hit shots from off balance.
Hand off.
Hard to second guess, Dave, but it seemed like he could have let that go over his head and followed around the back wall to the right side wall.
2 serving
I think
1.
he was just trying to take time away from Emmett as he was out of position.
Yeah, I think he was trying to really just try to really quickly make Emmett have to run to the back wall.
But, you know, one thing I noticed about Dave today that maybe I hadn't noticed in the past, he forces you to hit shots at angles that you're not used to, so you're moving in at 45 degrees, hitting shots off balance. And a lot of guys are used to being able to set up, but he's got you twisting.
2 serving 1.
He wrong directions his opponents so well. The X factor, Dave, could be Emmett's serve. Dave's the best defender of serve in the game. Emmett's known for having one of the weakest serves in the top 8. I know that his fans will disagree, but on tour, you think the only way you have a chance against Emmett is against his serve, but if Emmett gets a good serve going, that could be the difference in this match.
1 serving 2.
I'd like to take a replay of that last rally, but now I think we're a little too late. But you could see that exact same shot that Dave did where he hit the ball with that fist into the ground when he was up front. He did it again and pushed Emmett all the way to the back wall and got a weak return and then killed it right in front of Emmett. But I agree with you about the serves. Dave's return of serve is really just one of the best of all time. Not just the best in the game, but just the best of all time. And Emmett has struggled to find that perfect serve. Emmett's been working on serves. He's been working on his game, and then he goes up against a guy like Dave Chapman, who's got that great defensive return. It will stun you, and these guys find it out really quickly. I love watching Dave Chapman play against Luis Moreno because you say Luis has the best serve in the game. You find out really quickly it doesn't really matter against Dave what you've got the best of. He seems to work around it.
And Dave's had a couple of errors. Dave, this match is 14 minutes old. We've only had 4 points combined. In our last match on this show court, we had halftime after 13 minutes.
2 serving 2.
Well, we saw a match, the one right before that was a 14-minute match, Anthony Celesto and Robbie McCarthy.
Oof.
And that was from the time it started to the very second it ended, 14 minutes.
So that included halftime. I talked to Anthony at halftime for 3 minutes, so.
So you know that was an 11-minute match, plus those 2 timeouts Anthony called.
I think you could easily say right now that Dave Chapman could have a 6 or 7 point lead. And I think Emmett has to feel pretty good that Dave's had some opportunities and hasn't put them away, and Emmett's doing what he does, which is wear his guy down.
He's appealing the serve. I saw it good. Do you think it was short or good? You disagree with my call? Did you see it good or short? Good. It's a mark. 4 serving 2.
We'll take a look at that instant replay here. That was good.
Mark.
The line judges.
How does Dave
got that
remember
right.
to appeal after a
5
36-shot
serving
rally?
2.
I see so many guys not appealing when they should. Dave does it at ridiculous times, and I think sometimes it's to maybe buy himself a little bit of time to catch his breath. You know, I've often felt that Dave Chapman was that rare specimen of a person who can recover. His body recovers quicker than anybody we've probably ever seen.
6 serving 2.
And I think he sometimes will manifest these little arguments. You know, with getting line judges, he knows the process is about 10 seconds,
Second
and then he's
serve.
back into it again.
Yeah. And that is Dave's
Mark
6th
7.
unforced error here.
First time out.
He's basically handed Emmett 5 of these 7 points as we have our first time out here. 15 minutes into the match, 9 points scored, but Dave, 4 of those 9 points were scored in the last 2 minutes.
You're watching the WPH race for 8. Houston, season 3, stop number 3 as well. Coming after this will be New York Athletic Club next month, and then we are going to go to Denver, which was just an excellent tournament last year. We return back to Denver, and these guys are trying to gather points because the top 8-point earners for this race, for this season only, will
10 seconds.
go to that Players' Championship, and the winner will receive $20,000 just for winning the tournament.
Okay, time
Now,
in.
a guy like you, Dave, you
Emmett
can go in there and
serving.
win Salt Lake and get that 20 grand,
Score
but
is
that doesn't mean that you were the
7
race
serving 2.
champion.
Right.
Short.
That 20,000, is it going to the race champion or is it going to?
Second serve.
Oh, it's going to the guy that wins that tournament,
Wow.
I believe. We
Wonder
could
what the-
decide on that right now, though.
Yeah, I think it changes everything.
Yeah.
Handoff. 2 serving 7.
I think it goes to the race, not the race champion, but the actual tournament winner, because that attracts these
Mark.
guys to get to that tournament.
I thought it was good.
Emmett, I think, thinks he was screened there. He has a good argument. Dave was pretty close to the left wall. He served that ball just about 6 to 10 inches behind. Here you,
was a
here
good
you
serve
see it,
then.
Dave, now.
And Dave has this huge
no,
hop
I'm
on
calling it
the.
a point.
I think this is a screen.
3.
I agree with Emmett. Maybe not.
No, it's not a point.
point.
Not a,
It's
not
a point.
screen.
Okay.
3
Was
serving
he arguing
7.
a short there or a
No,
screen?
a screen. He was
Okay.
definitely arguing the screen.
Okay.
3 to 7, Dave. There he goes right back to it. Now that one was a little bit more close to a screen.
But not as good a serve.
No, but it didn't have that wrinkle that he put on the first one.
And that's the
Handoff.
only thing I've noticed in Dave's game over the last 2 or 3 years is that he doesn't move forward as well, and that's because of that knee he hurt in 2010. Dave, aren't there some specialists out
7
there that can
serving
fix these
3.
knees? I see these guys in the NFL twist their knee backwards, and they're back playing in 6 months better than ever. Dave just had a slight sprain,
Handoff.
and it still bothers him 4 years later. I mean, can't we get one of these guys on the tour?
No, these handball players are rare breeds who just don't give up. I mean, they keep fighting through this for some reason. You saw Emmett took a long time before he got his shoulder operated on.
7 months.
Well, 7 months recovery, but
Oh.
before that, we knew it was messed up for, you know, a couple years, if not more.
I believe he hurt that in the summer of 2008 after he won the Showtime in Seattle playing one wall. Emmett lost to Pee Wee
3 serving
Castro
7.
after having beaten him the year before, lost badly. I said, what happened? He said, I hurt my arm. I can't do anything. And little did I know, Dave, that would lead him to the operating table. Just 2 years later. He played through, like you said, a lot of pain.
Oh, Emmett had that ball, and Dave Chapman out of position. Goes for an inside out, maybe a little too tricky, and misses it. Let's take a look at that replay of that ender there.
Well, Dave, remember that Emmett led here 7-2, was really kind of in control. He went for a deep court kill and skipped it, and since then, Dave Chapman has been able to put some points together.
Now watch what Emmett does here.
Emmett's got to make this shot. Could have hit that with his left easily.
Yeah, I think he was trying to redirect that ball into a place that he thought he can get it to with his right hand better than his left. And right at the last second, he just shanked it off his thumb. And
yeah, it could have been that coin jumping around on his necklace,
but you know,
distracting him.
There's a lot of times the receivers in the NFL, and you've seen this, they start running before they catch the ball, and or looking at their defensive
serving
back.
7.
I've read about it.
All right.
Well, I think Emmett did that. He just kind of took his eye off.
And he's really towing the line there between a screen and a good serve.
Well, the last two have been more closer to a screen than that first one.
I think he knows that Martin's not going to call it, so he's saying, well, I'm just going to hit it every time.
Yeah, but every time it's getting progressively closer to a real screen. I think Dave is just playing with that. It was a beautiful tomahawk left hand down the right wall from Emmett.
Do you see anybody in handball that makes that shot like Emmett does?
No,
the over-the-top overhand.
And he's done it consistently.
Yeah. Not nearly as good at it with his right hand, although he goes for it. But he hits that overhand smack left and straightens the ball out.
That was a nice shot right there. Dave Chapman has that amazing ability to be able to
get his opponent to change his gloves and get a 2-minute break.
Right, but he has an amazing ability to put that ball right in front of you to where it's just a half a step away from you.
Dave, I want to acknowledge John Egbert, who's sitting there in the flannel shirt. He's a wonderful WPH contributor, Dave. He understands our mission and what we're trying to do to get new people into this game, to expose kids and give them the opportunities that we all had as kids to play this great game. If you want to be a contributor, please contact me, fink@racefor8.com or WPH@racefor8.com.
Sorry.
Please get in touch with us and become one of our premier donors. Enable us to put on more events like this, more clinics. Dave, we certify coaches all over the country. We give them the tools to start their own world-class handball programs. It's been very successful. Go to WPHlive.tv and see what we've been up to. We've had over 500 clinics, Dave, in the last 10 months. I said 500. Very proud of that. And Dave, the kids have an opportunity to watch a match like this, and we've seen it. They're just awestruck. I mean, to be able to see guys at this level inspires them.
Well, we've seen the kids flock to these pro stops as well, and they're going to have another huge clinic on Saturday. I believe 1, 2 o'clock, something around there. Possibly 1 o'clock here at the YMCA. And it's going to be fun, as it always is. We're back into the action here with Dave serving. Emmett has a huge check up there.
And that's a shot I haven't seen Emmett make in the last couple of years. The deep court right-handed driving kill pass. Takes a lot of arm strength and whip to hit that shot. I noticed Emmett was unable to drive the ball down the right wall with any power with his right hand up until now. Oh, look at that fist kill from Emmett. That's a Chapmaning Chapman right there.
8 serving 4.
Dave, put yourself in Emmett Peixoto's shoes here. You get the call that you've drawn Dave Chapman in the blind draw. What is your initial reaction to that?
My initial reaction is I'm happy for myself that I actually got to play this guy before he says see you later.
Okay.
So that's my first initial reaction.
That's your first reaction.
My first reaction is that. No. Well, I've noticed with a lot of these, well, you're talking about me personally.
But no, you put yourself in Emmett's shoes.
Yeah, me personally, if I pulled him in the blind draw, or my name was pulled, let's put it that way, because that's what happened with Emmett, is that Chapman found Emmett, not the other way around. But I would sit there and say, this is not the best draw I could have possibly have ever had. And it looked like Emmett just hurt his right finger there. But here, on the other hand, if you're putting yourself in Emmett's shoes, I think Emmett wants to prove that he can beat this guy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of players are challenged by Dave Chapman, but they also want to play him before he leaves. And I think they know that every time Dave Chapman goes on this 4-year hiatus and then he comes back and has success, wins a national championship, goes on a 2-year hiatus, you think he's never going to play again. And then all of a sudden you find out he is.
Right.
You want to play him one last time. This is almost like that Cal Ripken leaving the Baltimore Orioles. You know, this is his farewell tour.
Well, Dave Chapman's not a 260 hitter either. But
Second
Dave,
serve.
do you notice that, and we have word now that Aaron Garner has defeated Luis Cordova 25-23. What a match, Dave. But you talk about a player having something to lose or not having something to lose. Don't you almost think that when you play Dave Chapman, when he's in one of these comebacks, that he has nothing to lose, and it's as though you have everything to lose. If you beat him, well, you're supposed to beat him. He hasn't played in 3 years. If you lose to him, you're thinking to yourself, I lost to a guy that hasn't played on the tour or hasn't played any handball in 3 years. So I feel like it's almost more pressure to play him now. If you play him when he's at his best, then you could say, well, I have nothing to lose. I mean, this guy is the best there is.
10 serving 4.
Emmett really taking control here in this match, and that's a great serve.
Well, we even had this discussion with some of the qualifiers that were going to play Dave Chapman, and they wanted to play Dave. And I'm telling you, coming from that qualifier mindset, he's the last guy I want to play in a qualifier. But these guys were saying, this is a once-in-a-lifetime deal. I don't feel like I'll ever get to play this guy again, and I want to do it. And so, you have to admire that. It might not seem to be a little educated, but you have to admire it. And now Emmett is just going on these huge run, even with that hurt finger.
Serving 4.
Well, that's the kind of thing that probably won't hurt until tomorrow, if he did, in fact, jam his finger.
That's why I feel that
Second serve.
Emmett wants this match, because he also wants to put it to rest that he can't defeat his hero. And now, Dave isn't completely come back, but he was informed before his match today against Martin Mulkerns that if he didn't defeat Martin, he could not get into the playoffs, therefore he couldn't get any ranking points.
12 serving
and
4.
just by hearing that, Dave Chapman switched a light switch like these champions know how to do, and played that hard. I think he said to himself, I'm playing in those playoffs to get some points. I'm not fully back yet. I think he looks at this as just sort of a bonus match that he doesn't want to kill himself on.
Mark.
And this match is getting away from Dave now. Emmett stayed with Dave early, and Dave is looking fatigued to me right now. It's his third match of the day. None of them were easy. The scores may seem like they were easy, but I can assure you that he had to push himself even against Kyle Greenlaw in this first round. Emmett, of course, coming in fresh, which he earned. It's not easy to get a top 8 ranking.
Serving 4.
That's a lot of miles, Dave. A lot of frequent flyer miles and a lot of winning to get into that top 8. A lot of people think, well, these guys are lucky.
And we're at halftime now, and Dave Chapman refusing to shake Emmett Peixoto's hand, but in a friendly manner. As we have a new report of a score here that came in, as Aaron Garner, brother of Alan, went up against Luis Cordova. Now we're talking about Luis getting those great draws in his blind draws, and we obviously felt that this would be one of the top draws that you could get, as opposed to going into one of the top players like yourself or Nadia Alvarado. But nonetheless, Luis Cordova lost just a few minutes ago, 23-25 against Aaron Garner. So Aaron advances, and now his ranking points.
Well, Aaron is, after a little bit of a lull, after a great performance here last year, he's bounced back, defeating Martin Mulkerns, which is a huge upset. Today, I would call a minor upset. Aaron did lose to Luis Cordova at the Plummer event, round of 16, and now he's avenged that defeat. Love to hear how that match went. We didn't get a chance to see it, but Luis Cordova was my sleeper pick coming in here to upset the bracketology, because I know Luis is playing great ball. But talking to Luis coming into this event, Dave, he said, this is the first time in my life I've ever trained. I'm cross-training, I'm running, I'm practicing in the court by myself. I feel so good. I've never done this before. And sometimes psychologically that puts more pressure on you when you've gone in freewheeling it and said, this is just something I do for fun, not a lot of pressure. Now all of a sudden you've invested all of this time and energy, and now you're in the court feeling like, well, I have to make these great shots because I've prepared myself. And I think for some people, Dave, it affects you a little bit.
Yeah.
I know, Dave, that you have gone through spells as a player where you've really dedicated yourself and you've gotten yourself fit, and then you say, but where are the results? I was playing even better than this when I played once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And possibly some of that is just how you match up with certain players. You just happen to get the wrong draw, and no matter how hard you could have possibly worked out, this is just somebody that you need to play more to figure out, how to fine-tune your game against them. But But certainly it is a very frustrating thing for an athlete who sets their sights on a goal. They feel like they can get it, and they can't achieve it for some reason.
Well, I can remember an interview with
30
Andy Roddick,
seconds.
Dave, and he said, I was number 3 in the world eating Cheetos and practicing for a half an hour a day. Then I dedicate myself, get a personal chef. I'm hitting 4 hours a day. Then I'm going to the weight room,
Emmett,
and I'm
back in the
playing
court,
worse than I ever
please.
have. You have to feel like you're going in there with really no pressure at all. I think that's what the best players do. Easier said than done.
See Dave Chapman there.
Dave, on the other hand, Dave, we talked about what did Emmett think when he heard he pulled Dave Chapman. Dave Chapman was excited. He said, this is what I want.
Second half.
This is who I wanted to play.
Dave serving.
Yeah, that's
The
interesting.
time was in. I called 1 minute and 30 seconds. So the score is
But,
4 serving
you know,
15.
you never know if Dave's shooting you straight or not. There's always sort of that angle.
Point.
Always trying to get in your head in a good
5
way.
serving 15.
Or is it? Emmett now donning the black tournament shirt that the Houston Handball Club made for the top 8 pros.
6
Really a
serving
cool shirt,
15.
Dave.
Very nice.
New Balance fit. Great material. I know the pros love it. And it always feels good, Dave, to show up at an event and have them hand you a T-shirt that was fit to you and
Mark.
has your name on it and is sharp. Take care of us here in Houston.
Well, they've always have, and then they made these
7 serving
amazing
15.
jackets that
Yeah.
I think I will never take. I mean, I have to wear this blazer. You're sporting it now.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I was wearing the other one that they made last year, but that's part of the hospitality, and a beautiful shot right there from Dave Chapman right over the top of that flop kill to the left. It's a flop paddle kill.
8 serving 15.
Well, this is what halftime can do, Dave. I mean, Chapman looked all out of sorts in this match. Now, all of a sudden, he's come back in after halftime and scored 5
Thank you.
quick points in just 3.5 minutes.
But do you see that last
Oh,
that
it's
last shot?
amazing.
The shot before
9
was amazing.
serving 15.
It's like, well, I hit it one time, I'll do it again. But Dave is able to do that shot just so effectively. There was a little bit of
And,
screen action happening there.
Don't forget, Dave, that just 3 minutes ago, Emmett Peixoto was leading 15-4. Dave has basically cut that lead in half, just about in half. And 25 is a long way to go. It seems like it's not that far, but trust me, when you're in there and you're getting pushed and you get to 18 or 19, you don't feel like you're close to winning. Sometimes you can get to 24 you're not feel like you're that close to winning either.
Well, Dave has done it without having to work hard, too. And that's another thing, that he's compressing his energy. I mean, he really hasn't had to work hard for those last 4 or 5 points.
15 serving 9. Short.
Shocking stat of this match, Dave, is that Dave Chapman entered this tournament with a
Second
5-8 record in race play, starting with the 2011 Race for 8 1, Stop 1. He's played in 13 matches, only won 5 of them.
Hand off.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Dave, if I would have given you odds on that 3 years ago,
Would have not won any money, I'll tell you that, unless the
Okay.
the odd makers put some kind of spread out there that was too hard to refuse.
yeah.
Emmett Peixoto, on the other hand, 19 wins and 18 losses in a
Wow.
lifetime on Race for 8 events.
A lot of
But
people,
but having a winning record, just
Yeah,
having a winning
right.
record at the Race for 8
Not
is actually
easy.
a big thing.
not easy.
Don't look at that 19 and 18 and think that this is like the
Playing in the
Toronto Raptors.
Mid-America,
You know,
yeah.
it's not the Toronto Raptors. I mean, it's not the same type of thing. Having 19 wins in race events means that you've had about 19 paychecks
Yeah.
sent to you, and even some of those losses.
15 serving 9.
That was a strange hit from Chapman there, but he got Emmett to hit it exactly where he wanted him to. I'll spit it out here eventually. Wow. I thought Dave was going to do that flop again.
I'm seeing Dave make some of his tired shots now. And you see Dave not recovering to the red carpet. that he does so well right now.
Dave tries to force in a paddle. Emmett
Side away.
under hits that ball, and Dave is just gassed. I mean,
Yeah.
just taking a long time back. Like he's just, you'd say that he's walking methodically. He's
serving
looking like
15.
he's got a bad back.
Well, I think you said it, Dave. I think he is fatigued. You know, if you come in here to these qualifiers, Dave, and try and make your mark, you better be really fit. It's not to say it hasn't been done, because it has, but you know, you take Armando Ortiz, for example, who made it all the way through qualifying to the finals of the main event last year, Dave, and he was playing handball every day, biking from work 6 miles to get to the handball courts, playing until dark, and then biking home. I mean, that's what it takes to get fit to do damage here as a qualifier.
Hand off.
Great shot right there from Emmett to close out that rally. Yeah, it really does take somebody dedicated to fitness.
15 serving 9. Point.
Dave Chapman knew the second he hit that ball that Emmett was going to roll that out.
16 serving 9.
You don't see Dave Chapman overhit the ceiling that badly very often.
No, but he knew it too, and he just
Hand off.
walked back toward the middle of that court with his head down before Emmett hit the ball 2 inches high. There is a side out. And with that
9
said, that is
serving
just the first
16.
point that Emmett has scored here in the second half.
Well, Dave has to feel good that he's outscoring Emmett 5-1 in the second half. If he were to keep up that pace, he would come all the way back, but
Side away.
That was a terrible shot from Chapman right there. Just terrible.
16 serving 9.
it seems like when Emmett plays with conviction,
Short.
going for his shots, there's not much Dave can do right now.
Second serve.
Dave puts a little wrinkle on that ball, gets Emmett off balance, and then goes with a unorthodox
And
left-handed fist soft paddle left corner kill.
9 serving
And
16.
it was a methodical one that he did on purpose. Most of us that do that shot completely on accident. Dave runs back, throws it back to Emmett. Emmett just punishes the ball.
Well, Emmett's hitting the ball hard, Dave.
Dave is really making Emmett run around this court right now.
But I think Emmett likes that. I mean, you're playing 3 hours of handball a day with Luis Moreno. You don't mind running around. Emmett is
Mark.
playing in his first event, Dave, as a married man.
Well, we've seen
Points.
players have success and some that haven't. Chip Morales, in his first event after being married, played amazing.
10 serving 16.
But then not so much afterwards. Then we've
Hand
seen other
up.
players just simply not play anymore.
That happens more than not, actually.
You can kind of go back and track the results. Alan
16
Garner was
serving 10.
a staple on the Pro Tour, and then he got married, and we didn't see him for about 6 stops in a row.
And how smooth
Point.
is that left there from Emmett, Dave? I mean, just a flowing stroke. Gets his
17
weight going
serving 10.
forward, lets the ball drop. It's textbook. Emmett's one of these guys, Dave, that doesn't need to let the
Thank
ball
you.
drop to still hit flat rollouts.
It's a point.
Now, Dave caught that ball. Is he saying it was a wrist?
I think it was 2 bounces.
Seeing Dave cleaning up here, and I thought I heard him just say to Emmett, getting tired in here. And if that's what he did say, I wouldn't doubt it.
It'd be interesting to get the winner of this
try.
match in here after this for an interview.
Right there. I think Dave just, I don't think it was 2 bounces.
Didn't want to give him the
18
satisfaction.
serving
Didn't
of
want to
hitting
give him
that
the
well.
satisfaction of teeing off on it.
Okay.
I mean, why would you want the guy to practice that shot
Yeah.
that I'm going to keep giving him? I'm not in here to build somebody's confidence.
No.
I mean, Emmett just hit 3 in a row
Ooh.
with that left hand, make it 4 now.
That was a beautiful shot.
Mark.
I'm very surprised. Dave always
19
continues to
serving
keep
10.
pounding balls to Emmett's left hand.
Two
Dave calls
serves.
a slide on the serve there.
Which is illegal.
Yeah.
19 serving 10.
But somehow I really don't
Short
mind
ball.
it. Seems like it's the right call.
Second serve.
Well, remember in our last race stop, Dave, we played slides and bad
Mark.
bounces. Don't blame the players or the referees for being slightly confused.
20 serving 10. Short ball.
It just seems that these players seem to work it out with each other. No arguing on slider bad
Second
bounces
serve.
anymore. They just chalk it up to a rule, just like wearing eye guards.
Side away. Okay.
You saw that Dave drew Emmett over to the right and just punched that ball down the left, trying to force him to have to run just a little bit. Chapman looks really stoved up just by the way he's walking around the court.
Thank you.
Well, he's walked like this for
Okay.
25 years. It seems to
10
me.
serving 20.
Dave now going to that underhand. But that's what I'm saying. Emmett is clearly so hot with his left, so hot that Dave caught a ball that was going to
Down.
go off the back wall that Emmett would have taken with his
Yeah.
left. That's how hot he is. But yet
Mark.
Dave still
11
serves
serving
every ball
20.
to Emmett's left. Is it because Emmett pushes that over to Dave's right, and that's what Dave wants?
Well,
Handoff.
oh, and Dave's not going to like that call, but he doesn't argue. Maybe he thought he didn't have a chance. I thought he did.
I thought at the beginning he did, but when the ball hit the side wall, it
20
just
serving 11.
sidelined
All right.
like a flat rollout. Amazing serve right there
Point.
from Emmett Peixoto.
21 serving 11.
You know what's amazing, Dave, is as Dave
Point.
now appears to be just about on the brink, but Emmett Peixoto lost to Martin Mulkerns
22
last year in
serving 11.
April in Salt Lake City. Dave Chapman beats Martin Mulkerns convincingly here today, and now Emmett beats Dave convincingly. I mean, how do you explain these phenomena?
strange.
Yeah.
Hold it. Replay. 22 serving 11.
Chapman playing out of the St. Louis Hinder Club. Not a good serve there from Emmett, which I believe Dave
Point.
has just been recently built in the last couple of years.
A few years ago. It's an all
20
handball
23
facility.
serving
Yeah.
11.
Emmett plays out of the Olympic Club in San Francisco. Very prestigious club.
And he's also a
Handoff.
on-staff paid coach, helping not just the kids, but and mainly the kids, but
Yeah.
also adults who are looking for lessons. He's
Oh.
basically there a few hours in the later afternoons and by appointment. And these guys, you know, really enjoy having Emmett around because he's positive and he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's an excellent coach.
He really knows what he's talking
Yeah.
about. He's an educated fella to begin with.
He's got a master's degree,
11 serving 23.
considering a PhD.
And Dave Chapman misses that easy
I saw it good.
paddle shot there. The referee's saying he saw it good.
Both disagree.
Emmett knows
second
that ball
serve.
didn't make it, right?
Yeah. Well, the serve was overturned. I thought the serve was good.
Oh,
I still do.
okay, so it was the serve that we were
Yeah.
looking at.
I still think the serve was good, even though both linesmen and Dave disagreed.
I thought I saw it hit the line
Okay.
there on the replay, not in fast motion.
All right.
And there's
Emmett's
a skip in.
missed a
Point.
couple of those off the back wall.
This same thing happened in your match
Yeah.
where you have this nice comfortable lead.
12
You look like
serving
you've
23.
been the dominant player throughout the match, but at any moment you're thinking, uh-oh,
Yeah.
there could be 3 or 4 point comebacks every time this happens.
Replay.
And that ball right there hits that side wall and does that flat roll.
But Emmett could have had it before the sidewall. I don't think it was hit hard enough to be out of Emmett's reach.
12 serving 23.
We'll never know, though. And I think, Dave, that Dave now seems to have a serve that he can build on. Outside of his lob serve and two-wall serves is that medium speed power serve with hop on it. He's used that effectively in three-wall, particularly at the Vegas
12.
three-wall outdoor event where he won, using that serve exclusively. And I know, having played him, there's not much you could do with that serve. The ball hopped away from you. He's waiting to hit one of his paddle fly kills or dump kills. And maybe he's employing that in his
24 serving 12.
four-wall game. Is now Emmett at match point.
Sorry, I was going to
And you see Dave so competitive, even at match point down 24 to 12.
24 serving 12.
He's still trying to grind here.
Short.
I don't think he counts himself out.
Second serve.
And
there
Emmett
it is.
ends it there.
Emmett Peixoto takes down the great one, Dave Chapman, by the score of 25 to 12 here in Houston, Texas, as Dave had a good showing in his matches earlier today, but playing one of these Elite Eights,
Yeah.
Dave is just not quite back yet.
Well, you know, it's not quite the same when you're playing against the Elite Eight because they're the Elite Eight for a reason. They're not going to allow you to look as good. But looking forward, Dave, Emmett is going to play the winner of Marcos Chavez and Nadia Alvarado Jr., who are playing right now. Emmett defeated Marcos in Plummer at the first stop of the year in the first round. A competitive match. Nadia Alvarado beating Emmett the last couple times they played, including here on this court last year in the quarterfinals. So this could be a rematch of the quarterfinals.
Could be.
We have word, and you know we don't speculate here, Dave. It's not what we do. But Nadia has not played a lot of handball in the last 3 months. Be interesting to see if he does come through here today, how he'll look against Emmett. But you know, Nadia's one of those guys that doesn't really need a lot of tune-up. The guy is a well-oiled machine. It doesn't take long to warm up a Ferrari.
Well, now as we look forward after that match, Emmett Peixoto will advance and play the winner of Nadia Alvarado and Marco Chavez. But we have 6 p.m. matches to look at and try to figure out what we're going to put on this court. Alan Garner and Dermot Nash look like they'll probably be put on this court, although there's an interesting storyline that has kind of developed with Anthony Celesto, who defeated Sean Linning last year in this very tournament as a 16 seed, defeating the number 1 seed at the time, Sean Linning. As you recall, it's the birthday weekend for Luis Moreno, and he didn't make the trip last year. So Sean got that number 1 seed and lost to Anthony Celesto. Well, guess what? Number 2 seed this year is Sean Linning. Anthony Celesto is the number 15 seed, and they play each other on the side court. Now, I really wouldn't even think the odds would be in the favor of anything like that ever repeating itself to begin with, but it's certainly not going to happen this time. So we will cover that. The local hero, Alan Garner,
so
and his crowds.
Been made then.
Yeah, his crowds here have really come out to see their state champion play up against Dermot Nash, and this right here, Dave, could be a final of a national championship. It could be a final of a U.S. Open or a World Championship maybe in the future, but having these two players in a round of 16 at one of these pro stops really tells you a lot about how strong these Race for 8 events have become. Alan Garner up against Dermot Nash, and you know he won the Gaffney recently. Nash has. He's had a really successful record. Played at the U.S. Open, and I think opened up some eyes there. And you know the career of Alan Garner has been well noted, and now they're going to face each other here in Houston.
Well, Nash is coming in off a lot of strong wins, having beat Robbie McCarthy, Owen Kennedy last week, some other big wins. Also came to the U.S. Open where he impressed a lot of people, taking Luis Moreno to a tiebreaker, a 2.5-hour match. He's one of these guys, Dave, that doesn't look all that spectacular, but he's got 2 great hands. He's very fit. He runs down everything, and he's very formidable. I mean, Alan Garner coming in here, and you see him there giving Emmett a hug, but Alan Garner won't ever mention this, but he's been sick for the last couple of weeks. He's very stuffed up right now. This normally is the kind of opponent I believe is tailor-made for Alan Garner because a runner's not going to beat Alan Garner. Alan Garner is one of these guys that really hits flat rollouts that no one can get to, even if he told you where it was going. But, you know, with Allen a little bit compromised and Dermott coming in with a lot of confidence based on his recent results, we could see a great match here.
Well, that's going to be coming up in about 10 minutes from right now. We're going to take a break. For Dave Fink and those that are putting this production together, Chris Garrad, Linda Manning, Jeff Castor, my name is Dave Vincent. We'll have another great one coming up. Dermot Nash and Alan Garner in a round of 16 here at the Race for 8 will be right around the corner. We want you to stick around. Also tell your friends to tune in at racefor8.com. More action in just a few here at WPH. Stick with us.
Here we go. We're gonna make some juice.
It's gonna be good.
She's excited. A little bit of kale.
Please don't put this on
I'm putting it all over the line.
It's wet. It needs something. No, it'll go.
Don't break my juicer. Looks good.
You ready to try it?
Come on, baby.
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
It's okay.
Okay, all right.
They might surprise you.
She took another sip. You saw it?
Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
Rethink what you know about this Vegas icon. Elevate your expectations at the Stratosphere Hotel, Casino, and Tower. See what's new, up, down, and all around.
Working and working out takes a lot of energy. That's why I drink Zenergy. Feeling fantastic and looking good has never been easier. Science, extreme science for your active lifestyle.